Hello, everybody, and welcome to Featureless Sunday. It is neither Friday, nor will I be showing off any features, so I guess this is sort of not feature, not Friday. Well, I guess I'll sort of be showing off features, but not from Quaternion. Rather, I will be streaming today one of my favorite games. I wouldn't necessarily call it my favorite, because there are definitely games that beat it in my mind. For one thing, it has sequels, but it's definitely a very good, well-designed game. As far as what that game is, well, I've intentionally left it blank on Twitch, at least for the moment, so that I can leave you guys in suspense. I don't have anybody joining me on Skype at the moment. Ewell was sort of sending me text messages over Skype a few minutes ago, but he's gone off somewhere else at the moment. So he might be back, no worries. I'm also, as I've mentioned, this is a completely new installation of Windows. I still have all my files, and those are all, secured, but the Windows install is different. So this may be a bit, with all the settings and whatnot, I have had to fiddle with things to make sure they still worked. I'm also using a completely different version of the streaming software, so hopefully that pans out pretty well. I guess without further ado, I should actually start up the game. Give me a couple minutes. And yes, I will actually be streaming Spyro the Dragon. I'm actually going to mark that on Twitch right now. Boom. So, I am actually just now having a problem with my audio cable, so give me one quick second here. See if I can do this without everything falling everywhere. And, what just happened? No, it's entering demo mode. Okay, I had no idea this game even had a demo mode, but, rather than watch somebody else play this game, I'd rather actually be playing this game. So, it'll just take me a couple minutes to get these headphones untangled. In the meantime, let me give you a little bit of information about this game. So, this game came out in 1998. It means that this game is almost as old as I am. I've still got a few years on it, but, that should tell you something about how much of like an old classic this game is. I mean, the fact that I can emulate it decently on a laptop says something in itself. This is a very old game, and yet it has, in my mind, stood the test of time. There's still quite a bit of a fan base for it. Maybe not quite as much as for Marble Blast, but maybe as much as... No, you know what? I was thinking about that by comparing MarbleBlast.com to the Spyro subreddit, but really the fair comparison would be the Marble Blast subreddit versus the Spyro subreddit. And, well, the Marble Blast subreddit, let's face it, is much less active. It exists, but it has, 4 posts. And most of them suck. So, Give me 1 second here. Okay, now I have earbuds in, so I can actually hear things out of both ears instead of having to screw with my cable, fiddling it to try to get it to work, and not just be the right channel. Yeah, that's really unfortunate. But, in any case, now then. We're just gonna reset the game. Oh, that's weird. There's the cursor showing up on the stream in that spot. Interesting. Okay. And we're back in business. Now, I'm using a, oh, let me know if the game is too loud, by the way. I can turn it down easily. So I'm using a sort of weird configuration for this. You know the keyboard config I use for Marble Blast? That's, like, incredibly weird? Well, this one, if anything, is weirder. So, yeah. Well, I'm not going to talk through the intro cutscene so that you can see how little of a story this game has.
It's been peaceful here in the 5 worlds, or is it 6? For a dragon's age. We now have 12,000 treasure, or is it 14,000? What about this Ganasty Gnorc character? Now I understand he's found a magic spell to turn gems into warriors for his cause.
I'll take that question. Nasty Gnorc is a simple creature. Vampire. He has been contained in a remote world and is no threat to the Dragon Kingdom. No threat! Besides, he is an ugly that does it.
Looks like I've got some things to do.
Okay, a couple of things. First off, if you thought that story was entirely unjustified and made little sense, you are not alone. The story is, if anything, the one flaw of this game. It doesn't have nearly as deep a story as a game like, say, The Legend of Zelda, or that one RPG that I've been maybe slightly entirely obsessed with recently. You don't need me to say it to know which RPG I'm talking about. In any case, this is Spyro the Dragon. If you have played some of my multiplayer levels, you will actually recognize this world from Marble Blast. I just straight up took this part of the game and implemented the whole thing in Marble Blast. Now, of course, I was able to just rip the models off of the ROM using the Spyro World Viewer tool, thanks to whoever made Spyro World Viewer for that. But yeah, I had to do some weird things with the texturing and all that in order to get it to actually work properly. So yeah, I'll release that dragon in a moment. In the meantime, this game does have a few settings, one of which is the camera controls, and I don't actually like the way it's set. So we're going to switch the camera from passive to active here. Let me open this, pause. At this point, I should also mention, yeah, this is technically a ROM hack we're playing right now, by which I mean I was bored one day, so I just went through and completely, like, changed most of the string tables to try to be funny. So we'll see how that works out. There are a few things that I've seen in advance are actually mildly amusing, and a few things that sort of aren't, but whatever. Fix Me is actually the options screen. Speaker setup 2 ears versus 1 ear. I think that's stereo versus mono. Anyway, so we're going to set the Lakitu to shaky, and that will actually set it to active camera. There we go, and what that means is that when we turn, the camera will sort of automatically turn with us, so that I don't have to fiddle with the camera controls the whole time, because it's a little bit hard to use your single hand to represent both the left and right thumbsticks, and I guess I could use the arrow keys, but Okay, well, this guy's been rumbling here for a while. Let's wake him up. Alright, we annoyed him. Wonderful. Hi, Nestle.
Thank you for releasing me, Spyro. Free 10 dragons in the artisan world. Then find the balloonist. He'll transport you to the next world.
What about Nasty Nork? I'm going after him.
Find dragons first. That's all I can tell you.
So this is definitely one of those games that has its gameplay, or rather, has its story based on its gameplay and not the other way around. As you may have been able to tell by now, this is your basic, just, you know, collect everything platformer. You've got, oh, I should move the emulator window in case somebody says something in Twitch chat. You've got your gems to collect, and you also have to free all the dragons. There's actually a third type of collectible, the dragon eggs. We'll get to those later. So I'm not going to bother trying to collect absolutely everything at the moment. Just however much is necessary to progress in the game. I'm also just sort of going around at this point trying to get used to the controls, make sure I know how they go. Oh, we do have a flame attack. I haven't used that yet. As you may expect of a dragon character, Spyro can, in fact, breathe fire. Or as you may have been able to tell from the fact that his name is literally a combination of the Latin word for breathe and the Greek word for fire. Or do I have those backwards? I'm not entirely sure. You can actually just charge this guy, rather than having to flame him so many times. After all, who wants to start a flame war? Alright, so, Nibbled is this guy's name.
Where's Nasty Nork? I'll torch him.
Keep your horns on, Spyro! You have much to learn first. Do you know what the dragonfly following you is doing? His name is Sparks, and he's helping and protecting you. Keep an eye on him and see what I mean.
Oh gosh, there's a funny line later about Sparks, but yeah, he basically just described to us exactly how the health system works in this game. You see, Sparks right there is representing our health. Now, there's no sort of like variable damage in this game. Most enemies die in one hit. There are a few that don't, like those guys that I had to charge or flame 3 times in order to get them to drop all their gems. But if you get hurt, which you can do by, for instance, going in water, because, fun fact, Spyro totally can't swim in this game, then Sparks will turn blue. And as you can see, he sort of lost the glow around him. Do it again, and he'll turn green. And he's lost all of his sparkliness. And once more, and Sparks disappears entirely. Now, if I fell in that water again, I would be dead. And this game does have a limited number of lives. Death is basically a slap on the wrist, but still. I like to keep some dignity. So, you flame these sheep, and it turns out that's how you get Sparks back. Ordinarily, what will happen is the sheep will cause butterflies to appear. I don't know why destroying sheep leaves butterflies. Again, the mythos of this game makes no sense. But Sparks will then consume the butterflies and regain his health. I wonder what gave them the idea to use such an unorthodox, basically glorified health bar like this. But it does really add to the charm of the game. Here's the point where I'm going to test whether I can actually play this on this emulator at all. This is one of the hardest glides in the game to get. I almost got it second try there. Like, it's just always barely too far, it seems, but it is actually possible. Ah, right there. Didn't even take me that long to get it. I need to get used to where that flame power-up is in the controls. So if we go over here we will see our friend the balloonist. I think this guy's normally called Marco, but I forget what I called him in this version. Polo. Okay, so if we rescue 10 dragons, we'll be able to go to a new world. Currently we're in the Artisan's world, or I might have called it something different in the sort of hacked version. Let's see. Oh, yes. So... Not sure if I want to say that out loud, but you saw what world we're actually in. And we're going to play our first actual level in this game, you know, besides just the hub. And this is going to be Stonehill is the original name of this level. As you can see, I've... one moment. What's my triangle button? Ah, there it is. As you can see, I've perhaps taken a couple of liberties with the naming of this. So, yeah. So that's basically the gameplay right there. Rescue dragons, get gems... Question mark, question mark, question mark, profit. So this is the first level where the enemies can actually hurt you, as that goat was just willing to demonstrate. It's okay, goat, you don't have to hurt me. But no, I think they... Or maybe they're rams. Maybe that's my problem. I'm calling them goats and they're sheep. Wouldn't that be mean? Yeah, they're probably triggered or something. So, as you can see, there's no penalty to trying to feed Sparks when he's already full. He just won't eat it. In later games, he actually will continue to eat above, like, maximum health. It doesn't take you above maximum health. All it does is, every 10 of them, it gives you an extra life. Binder.
When you free a dragon or step on one of their platforms, you're saving your progress. That could be useful if you run into trouble. Not that you ever run into trouble, Spyro.
Yes, and there's the save mechanic. You guys also seem to be fairly quiet, so I guess Japel just said something, but yeah, no, definitely by all means, any questions or comments you have, just post them in Twitch chat, message me on Skype, whatever. Japel is pointing out that blue gems are 5 and red gems are 1, and that this is in fact exactly the same to how MVP works. As far as I can tell, that is a coincidence. I mean, whoa! Red gems are worth 1, blue gems are worth 5, the quote-unquote main character is a dragon. Guys, I think we're onto something here. Also, I have never seen this glitch before. Honestly, I haven't. Guys, we're making history. At least personal history for me. I have not noticed this glitch before, but it looks like Spyro is, like, jumping up and down on the edge. I think what's happening there is he's trying to fall, but he can't because he's on the edge. So, yeah, that was an interesting glitch. So, you know, this isn't a perfect game by any means, but as far as the game design goes, it's actually really well designed. Here's one of those standard collect-em-up mechanics. A locked chest. Somewhere else in the game, there is, in fact, a key. We'll find that later. But meanwhile, here's Gates.
Watch the dragonfly, Spyro. His color indicates his power. When he eats butterflies, he stays strong. Like me.
Sure.
It's interesting that that one dragon is a quadruped. I wonder what the motivation was behind that. Maybe just adding more variety so that they aren't just all pellet swaps of the same dragon? I don't know. So, one thing about this game that's definitely really convenient is, if you see this, when I pick up a gem, it displays my gem count in the upper left, but then the gem count disappears again. Now, there is a way to see those. I think it's with this select button. Oh yeah, this is another move you can do, which isn't useful until very late in the game. You can hit start to see their stats, or, I think that's select. I think in later games, select just straight up pulls up the counters at the top. You see we have gems, dragons, lives. So the idea of only showing that interface element when it's relevant is actually a quite a cool mechanic there. It helps to not have those things just hanging around on the screen. I wonder how it would be if there were a way to do that in MVP. So it's apparently not actually possible to get hurt in this little... What was that? Spyro's doing some hardcore parkour right there, man. Yeah. Okay. So this game does have its quirks, but that's almost what makes it, even the more familiar and endearing. Is that the right word? Probably not. So there are other areas to this level, obviously, that we haven't been to yet, like down here, for instance. Oh. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is an extra life. The reason why there was like a clam there, I guess that's actually supposed to be an oyster, is because the extra lives are actually made of pearls. We'll be able to see this as if we ever come back to a level. If you defeat an enemy you've already defeated, rather than getting its gem, you get pearls. So... Now, sort of an interesting feature of the gameplay here is... I don't actually... Oh, they can! They totally can. Huh. Now that's, if anything, I would call that a gameplay downside, that enemies will actually attack you even if you can't see them yet. But I guess the level design compensates for that by making it very obvious where the enemies are. So these enemies are a bit bigger, so we can't charge them if we try. I forgot how this game works, apparently. You can totally charge them. Can you flame the sheep? I don't know. Yes, you can. So, so I guess it's not until a later level that we'll see they're actually... different types of enemy. Some of them you can only charge, and some of them you can only use your flame breath attack. And this helps to have more varied gameplay in terms of the enemies. Enemies almost sort of become mini puzzles. You have to try to figure out what you have to do in order to get each one of them to, well, poof. I don't know if they're actually dying, especially since they do come back if you return to the level later. I mean, I guess they're essentially having G-rated deaths, essentially. Alright, Mildew.
Spyro, my friend, how about a hint on gliding?
You bet.
For the longest glide, press the X button at the top of a jump, and try pressing the triangle button to drop down in mid-flight.
I forgot that they told you about that triangle part, because that's actually kind of an interesting feature. They did change that in later games. Alright, hold on. What's triangle? Q, that's right. Guess I can't quite test it at the moment, but in later games they actually introduced a hover feature where you can get a little bit of extra height at the end of your glide. And that was actually really helpful, especially to counter the frustration of some parts of the game wherein you can be like just barely missing a platform and, well, too bad you fell into the abyss and died. So you can actually go all the way up around here, and that's really cool in my opinion. The whole concept of having sort of areas that you can see from far away, and then you actually figure out a way to reach them. It's pretty nice. There are also, if you didn't notice, ways to tell how many of the gems and dragons you've collected in each level. So this is the third thing in this game. Oh. Well then. In case you didn't notice, that was a thief in a sort of blue outfit. No, I don't want to do either of those. Thank you very much, Miss Fairy Woman. Anyway, so thieves carry the dragon eggs. and you're supposed to charge/flame them, and you get the egg. We will at one point need some of these eggs. They don't really do much, except they're just a third type of collectible. Also notice the clever use of these barriers here. You can definitely see that there is more to the level. There are more hills in the distance, but you can't actually go there because the barrier prevents you. It's a nice solution to sort of delineating the boundary of the level without making it look closed. It looks like we've got this nice big wide open space here. Now then, here's the last dragon here.
After you freed all the dragons, pass through this fancy vortex thingamajigger. It'll take you back to the artisan home. But first, let me tell you a story.
No thanks. See ya.
A lot of these dragons do have sort of distinct personalities. Phone home. That's funny. And that's what really adds to sort of the charm of this game, honestly. Oh, by the way, if you thought for once that this game wasn't going to give us another hidden area, guess what, suckers? You can go down on this beach. That came out wrong. So this game I'm playing here, BPX, if you didn't know, is it's an old PlayStation 1 game called Spyro the Dragon. Reason I'm playing it is because it's actually one of my favorite games, and both Project Dragon, more obviously, and also to some extent, like, you know, some stuff in MBPU and Quaternion was inspired by this game. So it was actually sort of one of the defining games of my childhood. This, along with its 2 sequels, and yes, I know there were more sequels, but let's just forget about them for the moment. So we're gonna return home, and yeah. To really appreciate this game in the modern day, you do sort of need to have an appreciation for the older things. Ah, that's one of the pearls I was talking about before. You get pearls for killing enemies, and as you can see, they're starting to sort of form a circle around the Spyro icon in the top right. If that circle gets filled, we get an extra life. So that explains the that explains the oyster thing, because, you know, they're pearls. Anyway, you do sort of have to have a bit of an appreciation for, you know, gameplay over graphics, which is something that a lot of modern games overlook. Like, I can't imagine, you know, a lot of AAA games today just focus on looking pretty. And don't get me wrong, this game does look pretty. It was actually really advanced what it was able to accomplish on the PlayStation 1, which was done using some pretty ingenious methods. I'll get back to that in a moment. But yeah, definitely a one of those sort of classics. I guess I should mention what I mean by the graphics. Like, if you see that that sort of archway I'm looking directly at in the distance, look how it looks all not very detailed. And then as I get close to it, the detail sort of fills in. What it's doing here is it's making use of detail meshes. Things get displayed with more and more detail and more of the texture as you get closer to them. This helps to ensure that the game can run smoothly and yet display a large, expansive world. If you play other PlayStation 1 games, like the PlayStation 1 port of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 in particular is quite prone to this. You'll notice everything looks foggy as heck because, well, it makes it faster when you don't have to draw things way out into the distance. But Spyro was able to circumvent this issue in rather an ingenious way, and the end result is actually quite good, in my opinion. So we're going to go to the next level, which ordinarily would be called Dark Hollow. That is exactly the pun I hoped I had made. Yes. Oh, and there's another oyster dude in here, in case you didn't hear the little noise that he makes. We've got another one of those little figurines. That counts for an extra life. Always helpful. So if we go into Dank Hollow, this will introduce us to the notion of different types of enemies. And that's really the great thing about this game, is there's no sort of designated tutorial. Rather, you sort of just gradually get introduced to all the gameplay elements over the first few levels. This is really nice because it means that it means that you get this nice sort of progression of slowly getting into the game. You don't have to sort of like have this sort of forced seeming tutorial level and then anything afterwards. Or like a screen that says, "Hey, press this button to do this." So these little dudes, you can't use your flame breath on them because they have shields. Oh, you can actually use your flame breath after they put the shields down, but notice those metal shields block your flame breath. Now, as far as, from a physics standpoint, this makes absolutely no sense. If anything, you'd think metal would make you more vulnerable to flame breath because it would sort of, like, sear you entirely. But the game sort of trains us to think of metal as, oh, you can't use fire. I mean, I guess it does make sense insofar as metal doesn't combust easily. Still, I feel like they could have been a little bit better about that, but what they have works. You see, like this thing as well, it's made of metal, can't use flame breath. And that's sort of the universal signal for no flame breath, is metal. So we're sort of being conditioned by this game to sort of automatically think of metal as, don't flame this. I don't think that animation played at all. Hold on, let me see if that's reproducible. Let me let this guy squish me with his club again. Oh, that time it played. So yeah, so those big guys will squish you with your clubs, and that's the other important type of enemy, is the large enemy. The large enemies, the deal with them is that they can't be charged. They're too big to charge. So if I try charging this guy, you see it doesn't work. However, flame is surprisingly effective. I'll get to those fires in a moment. So definitely the game makes use of sort of visual cues in order to tell you what sort of attack to use. And this is a principle that is definitely good to follow in any sort of game that involves these sort of puzzle enemies where you have to figure out which attack to use. So like, well, nah. I wish I had hover like I do in Spyro 2 and 3. And the one that we don't talk about. Alright, so we're gonna free our first dragon of Dank Hollow over here. I feel like most of these... Oh,
it's you. I wasn't sure if you'd escape those annoying little creatures. Of course, they wouldn't bother me, but here's a hint. Metal armor is fireproof, but a charge attack will take care of it.
and in case you didn't pick up on it from the visual cues themselves, this dragon here is kindly enough to explain the whole thing to you. I feel like most of these weird dragon names that I've come up with are puns on the original names, but as we can't really see the original names, the humor's kind of lost on me. The sequel that I refuse to talk about, I guess I should actually explain that at some point, was Spyro 4 Enter the Dragonfly. It was the first Spyro game for PlayStation 2. In fact, it was the first cross-platform Spyro game. They also made a GameCube version. It was... Basically, it followed in the footsteps of the first three Spyro games in terms of gameplay, except it was executed horribly. For one thing, the original developer, Insomniac, left the series, so another developer was trying to pick up where they left off. Now, some developers do this decently, but this one did not. The production company also sort of rushed the entire game, meaning that the whole thing was about, like, 3 times shorter than a Spyro game is supposed to be. On top of that, they also had issues with properly making sure everything was bug-free, the game is full of glitches. I encountered several sort of have to reset the console type glitches while playing the game myself as a child. So it was just a huge letdown, and it sort of just broke the series. No other Spyro game since then has come quite near the glory of the first three. So this is another thing I love about Spyro, is all the little attention to detail. You see earlier I charged this lamp, and it actually has a little animation and noise for when you do that. Similarly, these campfires you can actually light, and they do actually light up the area around them, which is really nice. It just adds to the level of immersion in a great way. So here we have sort of a puzzle type thing. No! I was mashing the flame button, which happens to be shift. Now Windows wants to turn on sticky keys. So you can probably already predict, based on what you saw in the intro cutscene, what type of attack we're eventually going to use on Nasty Nork. I'll give you a hint. His armor isn't made of that same shiny metal that these Nork's armor was, and he's large, so make of that what you will. Marius, you're late.
Big enemies like this Gnorc with the club cannot be charged, but a quick flame, that should defeat them.
Okay. Notice that, by the way, those gems disappeared during the dragon cutscene. To make sure that I can play the cutscene smoothly, it sort of unloads everything else for the duration of the cutscene. That attack actually has pretty good range. I did not expect to hit him with that. Another little attention to detail thing. Notice how I didn't pick up that gem like I otherwise would have. The reason is because if you look closely, you'll see it's actually Sparks picking up the gems for us. We're not close enough to that one. We'll have to sort of fly over from that side. This game's full of little hidden passages and ways to go. Like, now we're over here. See? It's Sparks picking up those gems. And so if Sparks picks up the gem for us, then obviously he can't do that while he's, like, getting Butterfly or something. So as Sparks is going through his Butterfly animation, you actually miss out on any gems you would have collected in the interim. I think we might just have to fly from here. Glide, rather. Oh, duh. Now there's another section of this level if we sort of go down here. Nope, not there. Down somewhere. Here we go. Now this is our first sort of real puzzle enemy of the game. You see these dudes here, they have armor, so we would think, you know, you can't really flame them, like if I try even. They don't actually hurt you, they just sort of do that adorable thing. Anyway, but they're also big. What you'll notice, of course, is that the armor's only on their front side, so if you flame their back side, it works. This is one of those sort of iconic moments in the game. These dudes that go back and forth and sort of bounce you down these passageways. They actually reused this concept for an enemy in Spyro 3. But, like, one of the things I will remember about this game as a child is that specific part of the game. It's just sort of iconic. So definitely this game has personality to it, and it's a very bold, blatant, and well-executed personality. And, you know, all the little things, like, even the little jiggling of the dragons, like, I will have that sound effect forever embedded in my mind. Anyway, so, here's Windows.
Spyro, want to know a secret? Use the triangle button when you want to zoom in and look around. Oh, your secret's safe with me.
For those of you who are totally confused by these random-ass dragon names, pardon my French, this is actually a slightly hacked version of the ROM, hacking done by yours truly. And by hacking, you think I did something, you know, ridiculously cool. No, I just straight up opened it in a hexadecimal editor and searched for various strings and replaced them. Turns out all the dragon names are right there next to each other, so like, text you see on the screen. Voices will be the original ones, but text you see on the screen will be different. By the way, if you haven't recognized Spyro's voice yet, the man who voiced Spyro in this game was the same guy who did the voice of the Taco Bell Chihuahua. So, that's an interesting tidbit. Oh, that's all the gems. Wow. In addition, the man who voiced the Taco Bell Chihuahua and Spyro, he's the same man who, if you used to watch that old show, The Fairly Odd Parents, one of those good old kids' cartoons, he was the voice of Denzel Crocker, the evil teacher character in that. So, yeah. Well, this game features a few recognizable voices. Maybe not this one in particular, definitely the next one. So, we're actually going to go to this area of the Artisan's World, which we haven't explored yet, and say hi to Thomas.
Hey, Spyro, press the jump button twice to glide. And don't be afraid.
Afraid? Of what?
Falling from high mountain peaks, plummeting into prehistoric glaciers.
Huh. That.
The voice actor who does Spyro in this game would not actually return to reprise his role in the later games. Instead, they replaced him with actually a bit of a friend of his. I know they've worked together. I believe they're also sort of just friends. Tom Kenny, whom you may know as SpongeBob SquarePants. Yes. So Town Square has become Square Enix. Hopefully we won't encounter any interesting... You know, I'm trying to make a pun here, but I'm finding myself dreadfully not at all familiar with Square Enix. I do quite like the clouds in this level, though. The soundtrack for this game, by the way, the soundtrack would only improve in the next two sequels, and it was all done by... Next three sequels, actually. That is the one thing I will actually say is good about Spyro 4, is the soundtrack. Let's listen to Niels. Hopefully he won't bore us.
Welcome to Town Square, Spyro. Begin exploring by gliding to that area with the bulls. Use the L2 and R2 buttons to get a good look.
And he teaches us to use the camera controls, in case we didn't know that already. So, time to run with the bulls. Oh yeah, these guys don't actually die. They just get stuck on their horns, and then you can flame them. It's kind of cute. Where was I? Ah yes, the soundtrack. The music was done by Stuart Copeland, whom you may know, probably don't, as the drummer for The Police. Known for, say, Message in a Bottle, Roxanne, you get the idea. So this is a sort of weird mechanic. It didn't actually come back into later games, but you flame this and a little gem pops out. You jump and grab the gem, or not, and the whole thing explodes. A little bit of a weird thing, but I mean, hey. Stuart Copeland, after being in The Police, did go on to make film and eventually, so this was his first actually, video game soundtracks. And he's been one of my biggest musical influences since then.
Thanks, Spyro. I had the worst itch on the tip of my wing. Oh, did you know that you get your longest glides by pressing X at the very top of your jump?
Yes, I did actually know that. I'm a little bit surprised that they just recycled that information for a second dragon. Ah! And here's El Toreador. He might be able to run with the bulls, but dragon horns are another matter. Wouldn't you think headbutting so many different things would be bad for Spyro's horns? Imagining trying to chew aluminum cans open and how bad that would be for your teeth. Maybe that's why his horns look yellow. Doesn't take good care of them. I think there's actually a glitch you can do with these bowls that makes you become invincible. However, I don't know it well enough to be able to just perform it on demand.
Spyro, did you see a man dressed in blue running around here?
Ah.
He's a thief, and he's stolen a dragon egg. You've got to track him down and get that egg. Run! Run! I'm getting a little winded.
It's a little bit weird. I've never actually noticed this before, but if you look inside their mouths during the animation, you can see, like, scales. As if, like, part of the texture of their exterior is showing through. That might also just be the graphics plugin I'm using. It's not perfect. So it looks like Ewell's not going to rejoin me. Oh well, no worries. He can do what he wants to. So, this area only opens once you do two things. One of them is free this dragon, but you also have to complete a level. And in fact, if we hadn't completed any of the other levels, that dragon there would just have told us to do so. It's the boss level, and it's actually important that they did this. They don't want you able to enter the boss level until you've completed one of the other levels. Which, you know, sort of makes sense. So, Linux here is going to tell us.
Cool, Flash. Do that again.
The artisan's boss is through a portal behind me. You can challenge him now, if you feel you are ready.
What do you think, guys? Are we ready? Heck yeah, we're ready. So we're going to go into the mouth of this dragon sculpture here. And, wow, spoilers! Spoilers! So, the boss is called Sheep. And I have no idea why it would be called Sheep. After all, it's actually a weird jack-o'-lantern man who is scary as heck. So these shepherds here are actually going to throw their dogs at us. Yep. And as much as I'd like to let sleeping dogs lie, I kind of have to kill this dog. Oh, apparently he's too big to charge. And it takes 2 flame breaths to kill him. Wow, I don't actually remember the dogs being that hard to kill. Oh, I see. You flame them once and that provokes them. Alright, I'm having to actually focus here so that I don't get completely killed. Ah, it's always his cousin.
Nasty Nork has put one of his most devious henchmen in charge of the artisan world.
Bring him on. I think I smell a barbecue.
Be careful, Spyro. This boss has many tricks up his sleeve.
So this boss's name... Oh, yeah, another little detail. If you don't have sparks, he can't pick up gems for you. And I don't think there are any sheep around for us to flame, so, yeah, I'm just gonna keep going here. So, yeah, look how scary this guy looks. But, flame him. And why is he making a sheep noise? Well, that turned out very well for me. Thank goodness I have 7 more lives. Meh to you too, Toasty. Toasty, by the way, is this boss's actual name. Not quite sure why. And as you can see, he's literally just a sheep on stilts. I would be a little bit distraught at this realization, but this isn't the first time that a horrible monster I was fighting turned out to just be a friendly little caprid. So, ow! Maybe not so friendly. So I guess that's why there were no other sheep in here. But, eh. Now that we've done that, let's phone home, and didn't get nearly all the treasure in that level, but that's alright. We're not concerned with 100%ing right now, even though we did sort of 100% one of the levels. But that's not all to this world. There is, in fact, one more secret level here, and you might be familiar with it if you've played the multiplayer Artisans level, Marble Artisans I think I called it, in MVP. And that is right over here. Now, I don't know if this is actually accessible until you hear about it, which is much later in the game, but hopefully it is. You jump on all these stepping stones. Oh yeah, there you go. And we get to Sunny Balls. It should be called Sunny Flight, except I am an immature person, despite the fact that I'm like 20. Spyro just gave me a look like, are you serious? So Sunny Flight is a flight level. These were called speedways in the later games. And if you've played Marble Speedway, the game jam level, or level jam level that I made, you'll be quite accustomed to the gameplay of this. You have to fly around and utterly fail. You've got 4 sets of 8, and you've got to either fly through them, like in the case of those arches, or flame them, like in the case of these chests. You've also got a time limit the first time around. That's not actually a feature that I thought to include in my level jam level. Maybe if I make another one of these ever, I'll add that in. So we are being in no way efficient on this level. Hopefully we won't have issues with running out of time. It's just a little bit hard to control this when your flame button is oriented so awkwardly in comparison to your other buttons. I'm going to take a detour from the archways, even though I've got 2 of them left, and start flaming these planes. And we're out of time. Alright, so I think we should do these barrels first, actually. That'll be a nice way of getting plenty of time to start off. Dang it! I'm just gonna intentionally crash so I can do this again. Man, this is actually reminding me of Marble Speedway. I did recreate the feel of playing something like this fairly accurately in that. That makes me happy to know. Alright, now let's get those chests. What just happened? Huh. Somehow, Chrome came to the front of the window, and somehow I didn't crash in the process. In either sense of the word. And we're actually not doing badly right here. So, yeah, I guess I'll just pay no attention to that. Except now I'm getting a message on Skype, and I don't know who it's from, or how long it's been sitting there. So, kinda can't talk now. I'm in the middle of something. Like, the one time-sensitive thing in this game. Which is also actually kind of a good point. This game does not have a lot in it that's, that has a time limit. It's mostly just kind of chill, go around and, you know, beat the game at your own pace. Which is really great for a, especially for more of a kids game like this one is. Not saying that adults can't enjoy it. I mean, what's an old college student like me doing playing it, right? Oh, come on! I was that close. Wait, actually, before I continue, let me see what that is. Ah. Japel is telling me that this level also reminds him of the level Burning Crater in MBPU with the flying plane, and I guess that was also maybe inspired by this to an extent. I don't know. Notice that whichever barrel we flame, we automatically get both barrels. While this is the first flight level in the game, technically, it's probably not the first one you would see. However, it is still relatively early on in the game. So the game's going a little bit easy on us. And also the game probably assumes we might just as well be like a 10-year-old child. I mean, not that this game isn't enjoyable to everyone. There was actually a video I was watching where it was one of those devs play videos, where they had a guy, I think, was it the president of Insomniac? Something like that. They had him playing, or rather, talking about, while another guy was playing, the very first Spyro game, this very game. And he was mentioning that they were talking about how really Spyro is sort of a lost breed of the game that's E for everyone and is truly E for everyone, and not just, you know, E for 10-year-olds, and if you're older than that, you might as well not bother. Oh, come on, I was right there. Those planes are harsh. You know what? You know what? We're going to do this a different way. We're going to do the arches and planes first this time. Oh, did you see that? Pro strats right there. He says after almost dying. Right, so now that we've got the hardest part out of the way, we're gonna move right along with these barrels here. This was a bad idea. Yep. That path's just not going to work, because you don't have time to head back to, unless you pause the... And the second flight level is so much easier than this one. I think the third one might actually be easier as well. Ha ha ha! Running out of time, you say? There, now that bought us a little bit of time and also put us on entirely the wrong section of the map. Fine. Fine, I'll do chests, arches, planes, or nothing. So this might take me a few tries. Get comfortable. My controls also aren't optimal, but who am I to make excuses? Didn't realize you could actually land on those little platforms there. That's funny. Maybe I'll make another Speedway level in MB at some point. What? The game had issues, dang it. I accidentally alt-tabbed out of the game somehow, and that screwed up my run. This is definitely not my day for playing Spyro 1 on an emulator with a crappy keyboard setup. I wish I still had my gamepad. I still don't know what happened to that thing. I'm sorry, did I actually get those? Like, might I actually be able to, like, finish this now? Maybe? What's this? And we're just gonna cheat and cross over there, and woo! He tries to fly into the tunnel. No thanks. And yes, those do actually give you gems when you complete them. So yes, that's the Artisan's World. I'm gonna go a little bit farther just so that you guys can see the next world and a couple of the other cool sort of gameplay, personality type things that happen there. But after that, I think I'm gonna quit. After all, I do still have some homework to do tonight. Alright, Polo. Let's go to the Peacekeeper's world, or the Tent Mooner's world. You'll see why I called it that in a moment, actually. So this world is basically, Militant Arizona. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Welcome to Peacekeeper, Spyro. Look how our treasure has been turned against us and stolen. Recover our treasure, Spyro.
Collect treasure. Got it.
Yep, so in this world, the goal is to collect the gems. Oh, I see what you're doing. You're turning them back into gems, because that's what they technically started as. That makes sense now. You know, in like all the years, this game came out in 1998, and I just realized that now. So yeah, so these dudes will try to attack you, these little army dudes. They'll actually shoot these cannons at you, which, you know, that's kind of nasty, but the cool thing is, once you've defeated one, you can actually shoot the cannon yourself. And it'll do various things. So these guys are afraid of you, so they'll run into the tents. Fortunately, tents are flammable. And that guy's mooning me. He is literally mooning me. So you literally just have to flame their butts. Aunt Fanny. And here's ooh-ee-ooh-ah-ah. Oh, yes. Ooh-ee-ooh-ah-ah, in case you're wondering, is the, what the frack was Aunt Fanny? Oh, I remember what level Aunt Fanny is, yes. But no, ooh-ee-ooh-ah-ah is so called because, well, this is the boss level for this world, and we can actually go there right now, actually. You don't have to complete any of the other levels first. And the boss is a witch doctor, named Dr. Shemp, as a matter of fact. I'm streaming at the moment. Just saying that for anybody who might be, you know, within hearing range. So this is Aunt Fanny. This is the enemy that I was referring to as Aunt Fanny before. She also appears in another level, and, of course, she's more of a type of enemy. In case you didn't hear that noise, one of them, yes, did just run off the cliff. Here, I'll see if I can get that on camera. It's actually quite hilarious. They just run right off the cliff. As you can tell by the increased energy in this track, we are in fact in a boss level. The important takeaway, of course, is that that's one of the ways they use the soundtrack to sort of complement and benefit the gameplay. Alright, so this whirlwind is going to take us to here, and that guy up there, that's our witch doctor.
This guy thinks he's so cool. You don't know what it's been like listening to him over and over. But I'll tell you one thing. He should watch his back.
And by watch his back, what that dragon means, of course, is that you literally have to flame his butt. You know, there's no way we're going to get through this as is, so I'm just going to voluntarily lose a life here. Ow. Alright, so... Hey there, Dr. Shemp. How's it going, man? Yeah, that's what I thought. So he runs away conveniently to the next platform, where he will now attempt to use that attack on us. Oh, I see. You have to flame it at that point. Alright, so the moment he shows his butt... Ow. Wow, this guy's a feisty one. At least we finally get an extra life. Oh, so now he'll drop health. I never actually saw him do that. Not in my recollection. I see what we have to do here. The old jump and then flame. Yeah, there we go. But you see, it's like a puzzle. You have to make sure you can hit him while his back is exposed, because he's large and has a metal front. Well, I think I'm going to do one more speedway, or flight, as they're called in this game, and then that'll be it for now. Let me know if you guys want to see more of this game. I could theoretically turn this into sort of a whole series. I'm not sure if I want to. Hey! That was my cannon. Dang it. Now you're a non-canon enemy. Boom. So here's the next flight level, Night Flight, or as it will be... Oh, dang. Oh, and we start all the way back here, of course we do. So, yep, night balls, that's what I thought. That guy normally actually walks back and forth patrolling the portal. It's too bad we didn't get to see him do that. It's, again, one of those little touches that really adds to the game's personality. So Night Flight is ordinarily the first flight you'd enter. And like I said, again, if you guys want to see more of this game, let me know. So here's the famous rings. And now we gotta hit these lamps here. Or maybe these archways. Oh, it's archways and lamps. So there's a little bit of pathfinding involved with these levels. You've got sort of multiple ways to go about it.